So what are we going to see today? First of all, the whole webinar is both recorded and, surprise, surprise, we're going to see Figma files today from the person herself, who is building some of the most innovative products that we have on the market. For example, Chiara recently reworked, can you see it? Is it too much bragging, or are you cool with that?
I don't know what you are going to say.
Let's talk about men.
Yeah, you can say.
All right, right. So, yeah, cool. So she recently revealed basically, well, me, not alone, but with a team of Belkans, the whole NEN product. So if you are outside of Italy, it's, how do you say that, an utility?
Yeah, an utility company.
Right, an utility, an electric utility, one of the, probably the most innovative we have in Italy. And wow, from India, hello. And she's going to show Figma files and how we started the whole project on Figma. So what I was saying is that the whole session is recorded, and if you signed up for, if you opt in for the newsletter, you can also receive the Figma file that we are going to use today. So if you want to do your own thing, you can use Chiara's Figma template for your Figma preferences. Without further ado, yeah, I think that we can try to share the screen. Hopefully, it will be easier than the chat this time, and we can start with the juice of today. So from the chat, oh yeah, another thing, this is important. We also have questions and answers at the end of the webinar. So if you feel that you have any question anytime, just feel free to write down. You can find the Q&A button below. They probably here, if I'm your window right now, hopefully. And you can write a question. So if anyone can just try to write a question, so I can see that questions are working, hopefully. I feel so like unfaithful, like I don't trust Zoom too much. I'm always like, can you people try? Yeah, it looks like no one is able to.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Francesca. All right, so do like Francesca. Good job, Francesca. Or Emma. Yeah, you can ask questions all the time. We have plenty of time at the end of the meeting to answer the questions that will arrive, and the questions that we don't receive, we don't have the time to reply. We'll try to write articles and maybe do other webinars, so feel free to interact as much as you want. So you should be able to see both me and Chiara right now, and I think that we can start with a Figma.
Yeah.
Right?
We can start with the slide.
Yes.
Introduction.
Yes.
Okay, so I go. Okay.
The stage is yours. Let's go, Chiara.
Okay, so this is the introduction about us. So today we will speak about how to start a design system, and in particular the design audit. We are Giulio and I am Chiara, a product designer. Hi, everyone. And today we will see how to start the design system, as I said, why the design audit is important, and how to do it in 3 simple steps. We are Belka. If you want to add something about this.
It's a great company, I like it.
Yeah.
So
we do.
Yeah, Belka is a service design, it's a service firm specialized on design systems. We work basically with digital product companies, and we are specialized on design systems, basically because we think it's the correct way to build a product. You have to get a systematic and integrated approach to your product development cycle, and the best way to do it, we believe, is through design systems. Yeah, thank you. That's a good endorsement. And there are also plenty of studies that demonstrate that companies that work in that way are doing things with better results and also quicker. We work with a bunch of companies. Some are very famous in Italy, others are worldwide famous. We're very lucky to have worked with them. Some examples are like Spiagge.it. It's an Italian startup working on disrupting the beaches. Like you go to a sunny place and you want to be sure that you have a place there. This is a thing in Italy, so it's kind of like Airbnb for going on vacation. Another example is Factoring Cloud. It's the biggest invoicing service in Italy with more than 500,000 users in Italy. It's, I believe, the biggest B2B SaaS ever in our country. We work with them both on the design system and strategic initiatives on their product. The most famous ever is their app, which we are very proud to be part of that. And the last one, we are obviously working with AI companies. The favorite one that we work until now is Indigo. They are using and kicking us with our design system, and we work with them in the onboarding experience to see how users are interacting in the very first interaction to get the wow moment and really grasp what Indigo can do with them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, streaming is registered, but I already said that. So yeah, thanks to Giulio from the past to remember things.
Yeah. Okay. So now I can really start.
Let's go on Figma right now. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. I start. Okay. So what do you think when I say design system? That's the question.
Oh, whoa. People, can you reply? Like the first word that you think when we say design system? That's a pretty interesting question, I believe. Oh, the chat is here.
They don't think anything. Like
they don't. Yeah.
They don't think.
Maybe
I can help them.
Building blocks.
Building blocks.
I hope that's something. Belka. Order, consistency.
Okay.
Foundation, developer versus designer. Components, tokens, anatomy. We should give this to our marketing team. Source of truth for design foundation, atoms of an interface, design guide for devs. Well, I believe that everyone thinks their own thing, but the thing that I see the most is probably components, tokens. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, they are almost everyone. It's almost correct because it's the sum of all those things. So if you think about components, that's fine. But you can also think about the foundation. So palette, for example, and better the link between the two is what it's really the value of a design system. So if we change a color in the palette, for example, the buttons will change accordingly.
Right.
And this is like the result that we would like to have. But how can we get here if our situation is more like a product that has grown very fast? So we have focused on the functionality and not so much on the design.
Yeah, let me add a little piece of information here. So we are now talking mostly about the design part of a design system, right? So if there are people from the development team, and hopefully you are there, first thing, we love you. Like we really do. Like what we think is that in the end, you can have a design system implemented only if it's there for the end users, right? So today we are going to start with Figma, obviously, because you need to, as we see with Chiara, we need to get order, but then it's design and development and the process and the people, I believe, right? So not the components alone. So that's an important part, but let's go back to, we are looking at our product and start to look, feel like,
messy.
Yeah, a little chaotic, right?
And if you have also design system, maybe it's a little bit of a mess too, and it's not in accordion, it's not like in agreement with what you have in your live product. So there is not so much communication between.
It happens. It's not ideal, but it happens to the best of us.
So what we need to do is to do a design system audit, because as we said, we already have a live product and we cannot start from scratch, like from the base. And we need, on the contrary, to start exactly from the product that we already have. In this way, we will then build a design system that will be helpful and useful for us. And this will allow us to have a more consistent product and to grow faster, because the design system is a tool that will help us during the process.
So what you're saying is that we should start with the product that we already have.
Yeah, in order to build the design system, and then with that design system, we will be able to grow.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like my grandmother always telling me that I shouldn't just rebuild the house from the ground up. I just need to make it tidier. Like, like my house is good enough. All right.
Very clever.
Yeah, yeah. Wise woman.
So as we said, we need to do the design audit first, and everyone is here to see how to do it in practice. So now we can really go, or if you don't like,
yeah,
we will talk about this.
Yeah, this is the theme. So if it's not your piece of cake, feel free to disconnect now. We won't hate. Like, it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. So this is. Oh, I'm sorry. It's fine.
It's a secret.
Okay. Yeah. Now let's show. We can go to step one, which is the first step, of course, step one, and it's the visual map. This is something that we need to do in order to have an overview of the whole product. And this is helpful, especially if you work on a product that you don't really know. For example, this is the visual map.
This is an actual visual map.
Yeah, this is the visual map that we've built for Da Vinci, which is an Italian company working in the medical fields. They help doctors organize their professional life, basically. And it's quite big and a little complex. So at first we need to have to explore the whole product. But this map is very helpful for everybody during the next step of the audit that we will see in a minute, because you have, as you can see, all the pages here in one place. How do you do it? You just go to the live product, take screenshots of them, of the different pages, put them on Figma and link them accordingly to the user flows. So in this way, you will have, as I said, a vision of the entire product here. So the benefits that you will have are that you navigate the entire product, as I said, and this is helpful to see how it works. And thanks to this, in this way, you will navigate the product, and you can do it just once, because sometimes there are some KYC or forms that need to be filled.
Yeah, like the one where I need to put my documents, and it's so boring. I hate it. It's so complicated. So, when you need to test it more than once, you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't.
Yeah. So in this way, if you just take a screenshot of the next pages, you have them here and you can always look at it.
Yeah, so we have the first question. I think we can start. Like, so they're asking, is a visual map different to wire flows? So I'm not sure about what a wire flow is. We don't usually use this specific word in Belka.
Maybe it's a different way to say it.
Yeah. We usually call it user flows, maybe, but I think that in the end it's just the flow from one user to the end of the task, right?
Yeah.
So if you're using wire flow with this meaning, I think that, are we there? What do you think?
The purpose is that you have all the flows and the pages of the product here in one place that you can always go to during the audit. So yeah, I think that it's almost the same.
They're saying that probably you use wireframes for that, wireframes, but we are using the actual product because it's just easier. It's already there, so we don't reveal that. It's just screenshots,
as
right?
We said at the beginning, we need to start from the actual product, so we need the live product.
Yeah, because that's what developers are offering to our end users, which is the experience that they have today.
Yeah,
so
exactly. And as I said, you have the vision of all the pages here in one place, and you can go from one to the other very easily. And in this way, you should not forget paging during the other steps, because you will need to analyze those that you have already here. So we can go now to step 2, which is about components and foundations. So the big part of the audit, the design system audit. And first of all, we need to collect every component that we have in the product. In a product, we can find two types of components. We can have the custom components and standard components.
All right.
And
What is standard?
Yeah.
Custom?
So the standard ones are the ones that you can find in almost every product and every library, such as Material UI. Of course, you have their badges, cards, item drop-downs, buttons. Those are standard ones. But in a product, you can also have some custom components that are specifically designed for the product. An example here is this one, is a bubble. The name of the component is bubble.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, right?
Yeah.
It's fun.
We designed it for NEN, the company, the utility company that we named before. So it's special, it's custom because it looks like an icon button, but it works as a radio button. So it's specific.
So it's both a radio and a big circle.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's fun.
Yeah. Then it's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun brand, right?
Yeah.
They're lovely. If you're from the outside of Italy, you probably don't know them, but just go and Google NEN after the webinar. I think it looks like a very fun brand to work with. I'm not saying that fun brands attract other fun brands,
But me.
but some have said that our brand with the hands and stuff is very fun. So yeah.
So to help you in this phase, you can use this checklist. You have here the components that are standard ones, but you can also add some components that you find during the exploration that you do in the first step. So for example, if you navigate the product and you find a specific component, you can write it down. This will be helpful because in this phase, you would remember that you have to look for that component.
Yeah.
So you can help yourself
In the future.
In the future, yeah.
So thank you, past Chiara.
Exactly.
All right. So is this going to be included in the file that you're sharing? Oh,
list. Yeah.
it's very convenient.
We have already worked for you. So in this phase, as I said, we need to collect all the components that we have in the live product and all the variants that are there. So we can start from a component, for example, buttons. Here you can find the screenshots that we did in the live product, but you can also use the visual map as your starting point to see the buttons that you have in the product. And you need to put the screenshots here and write down the different characteristics.
So are we still looking at screenshots here?
Yeah.
Right? All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a master of screenshots.
Yeah.
You become very friendly with the cross of the screenshots.
Exactly. Yeah, because this is the faster way to have a vision of all the different types of buttons that we have here. As you can see, they are
what? Are they stopping anytime?
Yeah. As you can imagine, this is very difficult to maintain from the development.
Of course, it's crazy.
And also as a designer, when you need a button.
How can you choose one?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
there is no correct answer.
And no wrong answers.
No.
That's crazy. So what you need to do, in this phase.
Well, at first I would cry. Is that the correct solution?
But then you need to move on and do something.
Wow, that's very deep.
Yeah. So in this phase, in the audit, you just need to collect all the variants, but at the end, just to show you what you will get, what you can get at the end, you can get this result. So a little one button.
How can you cover all the cases? There was a ton of them.
Yeah. Here, this is a little button, but it's very powerful. So you can change different characteristics here in Figma because we have built it.
So it's whoa, what is that?
It's the actual component. So first of all, you need to collect the variants.
Uh-huh.
You need then to decide if some of them are not useful. Like, for example, here there was one with the italic test. Maybe you say, okay, I don't want italic test in the.
I think that's on brand because it's an Italian brand. That's...
Yeah. Okay.
So
we were saying that
yeah, sorry, people.
these are the different. Yeah.
I can't comment it without my lawyer or my girlfriend. Yeah, not pretending that I never saw this, obviously.
Okay, we were saying those are the variants that you like when you create the actual component, you need to insert here all the variants that you can have.
So basically accounting for the use cases to develop all the different variables and how do you call that? Variants?
Variants,
Yeah.
yeah. And so you build the component. So once when you do the design system, it takes a bit to build it. But then when you will design, you will just use this button. You need a button, you have this one.
That's so convenient. I don't have to choose anymore. But then I have to choose the variants, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But you have to do something if you're a designer.
Yeah, I guess. So is it normal for a website to have, for example, these many variants of buttons? Well, so I think that we should add a little bit of detail about who NEN is. So NEN is a national-wide company. So it's kind of a grown-up company. I wouldn't say it's like a startup, which I define as a baby company. It's smaller. Yeah. So NEN is a mature product. We're not looking at a fresh and new product, but we're working on a code base and also a design product that has been growing for quite some years. I believe we are in the realm of 8 to 10 years of product development. So also the amount of buttons, I think it's a result of the fact that it's kind of stratified between all the different.
Yeah, but I would say that I don't know if he's referring to the ones that were in the past. Like
yeah, it's more of a scale up. Okay. No, I think it was asking about the variants, the new ones. Yeah. Okay. So the question I believe is, do we need all those variants?
Yeah. I would say that those are not that much as you can think, because this is just different colors and different like size. So it's 3 size and 5 colors. So they scale like even if it's just left icon, right icon, caret or not, and 3 size, they grow very fast because it's like so.
Yeah, it's not linear; it's exponential.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, probably in the end,
so
I would say, yeah, if you think about Tailwind or Material UI, which are very common, I think that we have this much variance, but you usually see the button itself, probably. Yeah. You don't see the whole exploded amount of things that you have.
Yeah, so just...
I never thought about how much you have inside a button. That's great. So.
And also here we have the, secondary text and also the status press.
Can we play a little bit with that? Like if we, like, can we write a webinar instead of a load?
Yeah, you can.
You should detach the component, I think. All right. And can we put like an emoji on the square? How does it work? Or do we have like, so we have already the...
Oh, if you want it.
Oh yeah, can we put a Belka dog? The Belka logo, yes.
Let's try.
Crazy. Will it work? Oh, that's weird.
Because Belka is logo, it's not.
Yeah, it's not an icon.
Okay, so you need to do.
Yeah, of course you need to have proper icons. Yeah. Sorry if I was trying to break your button.
Okay, but.
So they're saying nice buttons. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
it's Mattia.
It's Mattia. Mattia is from our team, and I think that he can work on the button. Yeah. Can we take a couple of quick questions, maybe? Well, do you guys have a specific naming system? The answer is, can you please add that on the questions, because that's a pretty deep question. What was the approach? Or maybe Alex can do that for you. I don't know if she has time. What was the approach with the use of the variables features in the case of this button? Were they used for colors, padding, radius? So I think they're asking which variable was used for a specific reason, I believe. I would add also this to the Q&A later on.
Maybe it's better to, if you write them Q&A, so we can go on and see all the.
But yeah, I think the only one is so Claudio and Giulia. I hope I said your name correctly. If you could add this to your questions to the Q&A, we will take care of that later on. While Jesse asks, are so many color variants really needed? How are the rules established so designers know when to use which style? So,
well, in this case, the colors are not just colors, but are are not just color, but if I go to the default status, they are primary, secondary, so it's like different use of the button that you have, and this is the destructive one.
Yeah, like the danger one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not the color themselves, but they correspond to like a function in the interface. You have the primary and secondary button, so they need to look different.
So like if you have an interface where you want the user to do exactly a specific thing, you put primary, then there are secondary for the others, and the danger if you want to delete stuff. Yeah. Makes sense. So yeah, we won't take any other question for this phase. So if you have more, just put it in the Q&A. We will get later on if we have time. Let's go to next phase. So I screenshotted all the buttons. So.
Yeah, exactly. And in this phase, actually, in the design system audit, you just need to take the buttons, the screenshot
of all the components. So
all the components, exactly. Here we have like
wow,
a lot of them.
Can we see like some weird one?
Let me see. Here it's interesting because the badges here are similar, but the color changes. And this is linked to the question that someone asked before. So we can go, and it's also linked to the next step, which is collect the foundation.
Look at you, first time doing tricks, crazy.
Yeah. Thank you, my colleagues.
I thought it was Mike. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, so another thing that you need to do here is to collect the foundation that you find in the product. And one of them, I would say the most important one, is the color. So as you can see here in the product that we were discussing, there were different shades of the same color.
So again, this is from the product, you took all the different colors.
Yeah, you can do that with the inspector of the product. Just to let
that's great. I use it all the time.
And this is very interesting to know, because this is your starting point, because you know that maybe you need those type of colors. It will probably, you will not need all these shades of every color, but you know which one you need. For example, I don't know, because they correspond to different products of the company. So
you are like no judgment about your colors. I just put a list on that, and we will talk about that later.
Yeah, later on you will think about which one you really need.
Yeah.
And the same this you can like do the same process for with the typography. So the headings and the body, you need to see with the inspector again, which is the font that they use and the size of the font. So you now know which one you will need again in the future. And also the same goes for the padding. So you need to see if there is like grid that they use, and if everything is according or not.
Yeah, I was thinking that another way to do this could be like just straight talk to the developers. Like you just go and ask for them. But I think that what we are doing here it's helpful because we just don't ask for them and trust them, but we actually check the product. Because what I noticed is that sometimes when you work on something, you start to stop noticing the small details or the things that you did in the past, and then someone says, but why you used a padding of 12 instead of 16? And you're like, all right, yeah, we used that on that part of the product that you work on last year. And like, yeah, I totally forgot about that. I'm sorry. So yeah, I think that starting with the developer is probably the quickest way, but then you have to verify, because otherwise you shouldn't be doing the audit at all. If the product looks okay, you're like, yeah, we will do an audit maybe some other time. Or maybe your design system practice is flawless and hopefully it's already done.
Yeah, so we need to verify from the
right.
live product. So in
Makes sense.
Yeah, in this phase, we have seen that the components that we need in our design system. So now we know which components we need.
So now we do the design system.
No.
No, not really.
No. It will be maybe in the next.
Wow.
And you know also the variants of every component that are in the product, that you can decide if you want them or not, which one you need. And as we said, you will know also where to start with the foundations, the colors and the box. So this is the main part of the design system audit, but there is one last step, which is the user flow audit, which is something that we use to analyze the consistency and the user experience that we give the users in the user flows. So let me. Do you have
an example?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
What do you think is a user flow? Like, so you can drink some water if you want. Like, yeah, let's just give Chiara a small break. Look, what is a user flow? Let's see from the crowd, how many of you are here today? 65. Wow. From the 65 of you, what is a user flow? It's probably a pretty simple thing. Maybe no one is answering me because it's obvious. Hopefully, I didn't.
The step it takes for you to complete tasks.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Great. Journey that the user takes to start. Okay. Yeah, it's the path that the user.
How would you describe it? I'm curious now.
So yeah, it's like the steps that a user do to arrive at a certain goal. And yeah, it's the sum of the different pages that you have in the flow, user flow.
That makes sense to me. I just was curious.
We can look at an example. So
yeah, the path the user follow to complete a certain task. They all agree with you. Yeah. Okay. I mean, sometimes I just take words for granted, you know. So you're like, yeah, design system, and no one knows that like processes and people are included in that. They all think about components. So I'm just curious to see what people think about stuff. There's plenty of them. So yeah, thank you everyone. So let's go to the user flow.
So here we have two different user flow. They are similar.
That's the bubble.
Yeah, that's the bubble because this is a part of NAN. As you can see here, you can select the electricity or the house natural gas because they provide these two types of
utility companies. That was it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a piece of the activation process. So if we
activation of what?
Of the subscription.
So like I want gas from them or I want electricity from them. I go to the website and I buy it. I register in that and that. Exactly. Okay, cool. I have to change house in a few weeks or so.
Yeah. So we comparing the two flows as they are shown here, you can see that there are some differences. For example, about the layout or
the colors as well.
Yeah, the colors and the patterns for navigations, the way they ask for a data and to be inserted. There are different questions, of course, and in the end, you will arrive to the quote page. In this case, they have some differences, and you can think that they are different we are speaking about two very similar flows because they
I
are
was
both
thinking about that.
activation.
Like, why are these two different?
Sometimes there is this situation because the maybe one flow, user flow was built like 3 years ago, and the other one was built just last year. So they were completely different. And if you just take, for example, these two cards, you can think of them as two different cards. But if you have noticed that this is actually the same goal, the same flow, you can think about this card as just one component. So you can build it as a component with two variants, and everything can be do like this for everything that you have in the user flow. So in the end, what you will have is what NaN actually have, because they are good.
So that wasn't true. Right.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Like, they're very good with designs. How didn't they notice? All right, sorry, NaN people.
It was just a try.
A narrative device.
So now what we have, it's like a user flow. There are two variants of the same user flow.
Yeah.
And this is very helpful from the design perspective, because everything is always aside in some way. You just need to like change something to adapt it to the different product.
The content mostly.
Yeah. And also from the design, from the development perspective, it's less to be developed and to be maintained. So if we think also about the NaN of the future, if they decide to sell, something else, so for example, internet connection, or I don't know, overseas.
Yeah, there was a specific request from me. I asked to Chiara, since we can sell everything, can we sell horses in the same place?
Decide to sell something else, they can just adapt this flow to the new product.
Yeah, what's the weirdest one that you think, chat? Let's just know it. Feel free to play with us. We will use NaN to sell that.
So, as we said, they could just adapt the new activation flow for a new product subscription, just adapting some components and the content. And this will be a very easy way for them to like design a new activation flow. Of course, if they want to change target, they can just create a new flow, and that's totally fine. But if they want,
that's their product.
Yeah,
we don't
they
judge.
can do whatever they want. But if they want to go safe and fast, they can just adapt the one that they already have. So in this phase, we have analyzed the similar flows and see that if we know the context, we can design better components. For example, the two cards that we've seen, we can design them as one card with two variants. If we have noticed that it's actually the same card, we can also have just one user flow for every goal, every similar goal to maintain from the developer perspective and the design one. And this will save also time, as we said, for new future similar flows. And in the end, for our users, they will perceive a more consistent experience. So this is helpful for everybody. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I can help.
Experience.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just, how do you say pignolo in English?
Picky.
I'm just picky.
Okay, so this is the end. And as you can see, you will have at the end a big Figma file with your visual map, all the components and the foundation that you need as a starting point for your design system, and also the user flow audit that helps you to design better the components and to save time in the future and money. Because I need money. Yeah, let's go.
Like my grandpa always said, time is money. Hey? Yeah, you're right. So from those elements, you're ready to start developing the components both in Figma and code, because you know the context and you all the things around.
You at the starting point, this is the analysis of the current product
Right.
that we have live, and then from here we can start to rebuild the new design system. So yeah.
All right. Very cool, Chiara. Thank you very much. So for everyone in the crowd, I just want to remember to all of you, both the recording and the template of the Figma file that we saw today will be sent if you opted into the newsletter. If you forgot to opt in, just feel free to go to belkadigital.com/newsletter. You will find that there the form to go into the newsletter. So people are very happy for you. They're saying, thank you, Chiara.
Thank you.
Good job. It was your first webinar. So, wow, look at you. If anyone wants to compliment even more, it's chiara@belkadigital.com. She never gets enough of your compliments. Also, if you want to send postcards as well, you can find that at the end of our newsletter thing. We're happy to receive that. Okay, yeah, Elena also says, good job, Chiara.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
So we are now in the closing part of the webinar. We are more or less 15 minutes for questions. You can ask everything about what we just saw and even a little bit more. So we are starting from the Q&A thing. Oh yeah, you can also vote the one that you like the most. So if you feel that there are stuff, that there is stuff that you want answered, feel free to. Can we stop the screen share? Maybe we can just restart it later on.
Yeah.
But if needed, okay. Here we are.
Later we will have
Do you have a surprise for me?
Slides.
Ah, very good. Okay, so start with the first one, Matteo. I feel that Matteo is not a stranger. Ciao, Matteo. So, assuming you're starting a new product and you don't have an already existing design, what are the variables that need to be taken into account when choosing an existing design system? For example, Ant, Carbon, Iwi. The devs have already given a short list, very good, bravo, of 3 design systems that can be chosen, and it's up to the design team to analyze the Figma files and choose one. So I think this is more strategic question, so if you're okay, I can take that. From what I see here, you're kind of in a situation where you're looking, I believe, more at the artifacts, but you should be looking, I think, at the end uses. So let me explain. A couple of things that you want to balance. First, you want to be sure that the Figma file that you're going to choose between all those frameworks is well organized. I'm saying this because some of the most famous UI kit template, whatever you want to call it, when I was young, I was using Bootstrap from Twitter, but the times changed, so I'm old. And but like you want to be sure that the Figma file is well maintained. Why that? Because some of those might not have the latest improvement from Figma. For example, today, I hope that all of you already saw that, but if you don't, good news, we're telling you today. They introduced variables on typography, right? Yeah. So you'll have new ways to be quicker and more productive. It's not even Twitter, it's X now. So you want to be sure that the Figma is used with the current iteration of Figma, because you still log in on the same website, but features are very changed. The other thing that you want to take into consideration, I think it was what Chiara was communicating through the walkthrough that she did on the audit. You want to check the context. Like, I don't know how much you already know about the product that you're going to build, but even if you have wireframes, even if you have pen and paper material that you can review, to get an idea of what is going to look like and what you'll be needed, then that's another thing that you want to consider, because some of those are not the best for the task for specific contexts. The last one, and this is just a general consideration, is that you should check also the flexibility of that. Some frameworks are more opinionated than others. I really like Tailwind for some specific purposes because I value flexibility, for example. But if you go to Material UI, Material, it can be pretty rigid. And also Material, I think, is intended to be used with Angular, which again is very rigid. But if you're doing financial service things and it's all tables and forms, well, that's a great choice. So I suggest going back to what is the context that we need and what are the trade-offs that we are going to accept or not with the framework that developers say that they are comfortable to develop with. Very good job on asking the developers first. That was not obvious. It's a very good strategic choice, a solid choice, because if you don't have developers on board, you either can go very slow because they don't know the framework, or they just will be very annoyed because no one is really happy to be taken and say like, you have to do this. It's not the most fun thing that you can do. It says, grazie mille, Giulio.
Grazie.
And complimenti, Chiara. So, do you have a specific naming system you use? You want to take this?
Yeah, I would say that we don't have just one that is like the right one, because it's always the answer. It depends, because of course a button, it will be obviously called button.
I wouldn't change that.
Yeah. So for the standard components, we use like the standard names. That's not really a question, an answer, but it's like name that you find in the in the libraries.
Also in the HTML. Like if you think about it, the HTML elements already have a name, and I highly encourage you to use that. I wouldn't call a button differently than a button, or a checkbox differently from a checkbox. An order list, it's already there. They have a name, just keep it, please.
Yeah, the difficult part is when you have custom components, so they don't really exist. Yeah, exactly. And in that case, it depends on like you need to accord with the development. You need to like let me start.
Take your time.
Yeah, you need to speak with the team, like both the design team and the development team, and you need to decide the name of what you think that the component really is there for. So maybe you start from the purpose or the flow, the user flow in which you use the components. And this is a strategy that you can use to decide the components of the name of a component that you don't, that it's not a standard one.
Right. Was the bubble already called bubble by the end people? Or so it was like common knowledge. They just never took the time to write it down, or we just gathered information from it. So So what you're saying is that we need to align design and development. So they both call it the bubble. And then you have to write it down somewhere. That's exactly.
There is no really a way to do it.
Yeah, so we don't have like a specific way to name things. We just start from the team. They're like the owner of the component in the end. Yeah. Again, I can remember to all of you, you can thumb up on the questions that you like the most, and then we reorder. So yeah, we're using that to filter things. So we have Marco Bonaldo. That sounds like an Italian name. Do we, as a designers, because I'm not really a designer anymore, like on my day-to-day job, really need to build the design system from scratch instead of using and then customizing professional design systems already existing, like Untitled UI? No, you don't have to.
Exactly.
That's the short question. Sorry, the short answer. But it depends on the situation that you are in. So you usually have two situations. The first one is you have a fresh start and you can do whatever you want, like when you're a kid and all the roads are open and you can decide for whatever career you want. Am I getting too philosophical here? Right. So, yeah. So you want to be able to, you are able to do whatever you want. In that case, I suggest pick a framework that you like and add the custom components like Chiara was doing. So you have the standard components, they are all the bases are already done, and then you add the custom. So you quick and shortly go to the right direction, and you do that. And another thing that you have to take in consideration is that if you, on the other hand, already have a product, migrating an entire product, if you think about NaN, which again, it's not like the eldest product that I can think of, that those are banks. But for NaN, our team spent 3 months migrating just the Figma files, not even the front end. So you can't start from scratch and just pick another framework, right? So you need to work with what you already have, and some part of that might be also different frameworks. You have to take in consideration a lot of stuff before deciding to migrating or not, something like that. So yeah, new stuff, 100% the approach that you told me. Old stuff or even just mature stuff, I wouldn't suggest just rebuilding everything from the ground up unless it's a complete mess and it's completely unusable. But that's rarely the case in my story. Okay, we have probably the last 2, if we are very quick, questions, because it's 16:57 and we have stuff to do. So Roberta, hello Roberta, says, how does the design process work? That's a broad question. Do you first build one or more screens using the components and then adjust those according to the variants you need, like size? Or do you start directly by designing a single component and then see how they work on screens? Do you want to try that?
I'm not sure if I could.
I think from what I understand, but Roberta, let me know from the comments if you feel that we are off. The question is like, do you directly design the component and use it on a screen, like you put it on an entire screen, as opposed to building screens and then designing the components? I think that we do both of them.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, that's a very hard question. It's like a chicken and egg situation. Like, was first the chicken or was first the egg? From what we saw, I think from the document that Chiara showed, we start with the basic components. But one thing that I really want to stress here, because we just saw the pre-work, the audit of how to do that, is that you need to use the components on the actual screens. So you need to have a little bit of balance. Like you do the first iteration of the components, you do like the 80-90% of that, and you already know that you will break stuff, because we never did the first release of components after the audit that was 100% perfect. That's just impossible. How do you discover why it's not 100% perfect? You just put it on the user flows, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now,
yeah.
Now I get the question.
Yeah.
Your answer is right.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you, Chiara.
The first attempt of the design system, let's say.
Yeah, first attempt, like, let's try it.
Yeah,
knowing that you will pay.
Yeah, something will change during when you do the user flows.
Yeah, so sure. The first iteration of the first release, let's call it like that, after the audit is done for stressing purposes. The end result is not having the components perfect, but having the components good enough to be tested. And then from there, you have the screens, and then you see the component in action. What I really recommend is using the components in action. Because if you stop after designing, for example, the single button, Sara, buonanotte, ole. that Chiara showed a second ago, that's not the best idea because you will see that stuff will break. Oh yeah, Roberto also commented, you can follow up on comments. We are always discovering Zoom things. Roberta said, yes, I assume that it's an iterating process. My question was due to the fact that sometimes I feel that I start from designing components and then something is missing or not working on screen. That's normal. That's by design. And also, I would like to add that design is never done. So it's also an iterating process. At some point, you have just to cut it and call it a day. And you did probably the 99.9%. That's enough. Yeah, so that was our last question. Thanks, everyone. There was a lot of questions, and we will probably do another webinar. If you feel that this was informative / useful, and you have another designer friend that you think that could benefit from that, you can just forward the emails that we sent from the newsletter, or just tell them like a nice human being that you will probably hire. We also try our best to succeed in 99.9% of the time. Let's close it. Thanks, Chiara. I'm always late. So, well, yeah, also, if you want to save pair of hands, it's what we do. This is our audit service. It's called Design System Checkup. If you feel that your design system is not in the best shape, and it happens to the best of us, most of the companies don't need Belka, and that's very good. But if you feel that you might get a good help from us, those are the issues that we see the most, like trouble getting started, or you have question about governance. So if you ask in your company, who's in charge about the design system, like who has the last word, if we are stuck and you can't answer this question, good sign that we might be able to help you. You're figuring out what tools are the best to use, like what is the correct plugin for Figma? That's a question that is haunting me because there are plenty of them. Or how are we going to implement the typography variables on our Figma file? Let's work together on that. Or if you have adoption issues, both like designers are not using the design system that you built, that happens, or developers are not using the design system that your design team is doing, we can talk about this. And also, if you're wondering, like, are we doing something? Like, is this really useful? Are we moving the needle? Those are the things that we usually work on. And what we can do for you is, oh yeah, and also we did for a bunch of other companies. Yeah, you can also find the checkup service on the footer of our website if you're curious to know more. Well, what we can do for you is, can you go on the next one? Is, yeah, it's here. It's the design system checkup. It's an audit service where we take in consideration your design system. We will look at it with you, and we will reboot it in a good way so you can start moving your next steps in the best way possible. And we love to do it with you. So if you feel that it sounds it rings a bell, feel free to write us. Question and answers we already said. If you want to get the Figma template and the recording of the session, here's the link to the newsletter. And also we publish a lot of stuff. You can find articles. We do also other webinars. There's plenty of it.
Other webinars?
Oh, hey, you're getting good at this. So the next webinar is for developers. So
spicy.
If you feel that your development team might get a good help from us, we are going to be the first design system component in React. That's the link, bit.ly/DS component. It will be, again, like what we did today, very practical. So we're going to see code, working code, and I will keep asking dumb questions if you are worried that this won't happen. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Alex? Serena? Okay. Thank you to everyone who participated in the webinar. It's been wonderful to have you, and we hope to see you next time. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.